Ladies and gentlemen, today we have an amazing video to get into because we have the rumors, we have the updates, and we have the leaks. And some of this kind of cool stuff, man. Stuff we haven't heard about in quite a while. So let's go ahead and get right into this video. Yeah, so the news we have in this video is actually pretty cool, but it's almost a little overwhelming because there's so much of it that it just builds up into your head and it gets up there and then your head almost
pops a little bit or something. Whoa. What's going on here?
Okay, I think we're back to normal. We have a very interesting video though, so before we get started, if you could hit a like and subscribe, that would truly mean the world to me. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter so we can keep these amazing communities growing. And let's go ahead and get into the video. So the very first thing we have to do is talk about Metroid Prime 4. And this is weird that we're just getting to this point where we're actually talking about this game. And I know it's we've been talking about it for years now and we couldn't wait for it. And now that it's finally here, it's really cool. But when you think about all the promotion Kirby Air Riders got, and then Pokemon Legends EA, Metroid Prime 4 almost feels like it's getting no promotion from Nintendo. I do think that will probably change the end of this week going into next week. I think they'll start really marketing it. But one really cool thing that just came out of nowhere is you can actually go play a demo of this game right now. So I know at some Walmarts and Best Buy, if you go to the kiosk, you're able to play the Metroid Prime 4 demo. And I heard it's actually a pretty substantial demo as well. And it looks amazing and runs amazing. I live across the street from Walmart. So I said, whoa, I'm going to take my little robot self across the street and I'm going to play this. And then I went over there and I found the kiosk. And then I found the little icon for Metroid Prime 4 and I clicked it. And it was just a trailer of the game. And that sucked. But I will try to find this demo somewhere else and play it. I'm actually starting to get pretty excited for this game because I think it's going to be the last big Switch 2 game of the year. And you know, it's just been a long time coming. So if you have a Target, Best Buy, Walmart, probably even some GameStops in your area and you want to try this out, I would go up there and try to play on the kiosk, and there's a good chance you're going to be able to play this. And I heard people are even able to go into the settings and change from 60 frames per second to 120 frames per second and performance mode and all this other stuff. So it seems like a really in-depth demo. And then quickly, we're going to jump over to a game that's been out for a few years, and that is Hogwarts Legacy. Yes, this game came out on the Switch, and I beat it on the Switch, and yeah, it was something, but I did enjoy myself. But obviously on the Nintendo Switch 2, it's running and looking a million times better. So I heard about this glitch, and I thought, it's Black Friday shopping. This is a perfect time for me to test this out. There's a glitch where if you put in the Switch version into your Switch 2 and pay $10 for the upgrade path, instead of just giving you the upgrade path, it will download both versions of the game. So you'll have the Switch 1 version, and then you'll have the Switch 2 version, both full games. And then you can take out the Switch 1 version and go sell that. So I thought, I'm gonna try this out. So I went and ordered a copy from Amazon and it was $30, and then I did the upgrade path, which was $10, and wouldn't you know it, it actually worked. So I took out the physical cartridge and I was still able to play the Switch 2 version, and now I'm returning my Switch 1 version back to Amazon because it's Amazon and I don't give a shit about them. So I essentially got the Switch 2 version of Hogwarts Legacy for $10. So I'm just letting you guys know this does in fact work. And if you're looking for a new Switch 2 game and you want to do a little finessing, this is not a bad way to get it. So we know the Nintendo Switch 2 is extremely popular, and it's kind of funny when you go on Twitter and see random YouTube videos where people are still trying to twist the narrative that since you see so many consoles in the wild now, it's not selling well and it's eventually going to flop. And it's bro, just chill, go grift somewhere else. The Switch 2 being a failure, there's no angle where this is a real possibility, but I think there's other variables in play that are going to make the Switch 2 even more successful in the coming months, right? So we got to look at the holidays. The holidays are going to be major for Nintendo. They're going to sell millions of Nintendo Switch 2 consoles, probably 2 or 3 million consoles, not even kidding, by the end of December. Then you have the PS5, which people are still buying. It's still very popular. I play mine almost every day. And they're doing a couple discounts for Black Friday, so they'll sell some. But Xbox, it's they've already done one price increase this year. Then they did a second price increase. Now we're hearing rumors that Xbox is in fact about to raise prices for a third time. But I heard that this actually might affect PlayStation consoles as well. And all of that will just push people to the Nintendo Switch 2 even more. So what's going on is DDR5 and DDR4 RAM kits have jumped over 200% in price since the fall, and they're increasing their prices even more, I think. And I guess Xbox never prepared for this at all, having RAM shortages. So they're saying that Xbox is in fact about to raise prices again, and that what people think is when Xbox raise prices again, even though they might have a valid reason this time, PlayStation will probably follow suit as well, just because they can, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying this means Nintendo is never going to raise a price. I do in fact think the Switch 2 is going to get a price increase, probably sometime in the 6 months, probably after the holidays if I had to guess. And that's just the way stuff is right now. But I think with all this, it's like, no matter which way you cut it, and you see the games we're getting on the Switch 2, the Switch 2 is the budget console, the budget option to play all these amazing games. And it's a portable console and a home console. So I just think this is even going to make the Switch 2 even more successful in the long run. And then I was thinking, you know, if Xbox is going to shoot themselves in the foot nonstop, somebody can come in and take over their whole market, and that would be Steam, Valve, whatever, the Steam machine. And I was very interested in that console, but they came out and basically said it's going to be priced the same as a PC, so I'm thinking $800 plus, so it's definitely out of my budget. So I don't think that's really going to affect Nintendo so much, you know what I mean? Now, a game that we've heard is coming over to the Switch 2, and I think the actual developers of this game and director said they want this to happen. I don't know if there's anything official happening yet, but I kind of feel like there is, and that is Stellar Blade. I think this would be a phenomenal game on the Switch 2. I've wanted to play this for quite a while. I seen it on sale for Black Friday for $40. It's like a game I could pick up for $30. I know it's petty $10, but I'm still not going to make the jump. If it came over to the Switch 2, I'd probably do it because I can play it portably, and it would just be a little bit more exciting. But that's besides the point, right? It's probably going to come over to the Switch 2 at some point. Now we have an update for the sequel of Stellar Blade, and this is according to a job listing. The next installment of Stellar Blade, currently under development at Shift Up, is a AAA multi-platform action game that expands the worlds of the global hit Stellar Blade, aiming for release on various platforms, including consoles, that's consoles plural, and PC. So if I had to guess, we'll eventually get Stellar Blade over on the Switch 2, and whenever Stellar Blade 2 comes out, and this is probably going to be like, what, 2028, 2029, it's going to be quite a while probably, this might launch day and date on the Nintendo Switch 2, especially if there's a big install base for Stellar Blade on the Switch 2. And again, I think it just circles back to my argument of like, we're getting the Xbox games, we're getting the PlayStation games. The Switch 2, man, it's going to have a massive generation, and I'm here for it. You know, people talk about the console all they want in a negative space. Dude, I'm loving the hell out of my Switch 2. Every single day that I play it, it feels like the first time that I've played it. And I don't even think I had that same feeling with my Switch. So this generation has a lot of potential. Now, getting these cool third-party games are a major part of the Switch 2 and why I'm so keen on it, I guess, because of the possibilities. But where Nintendo really shines is first-party stuff. So I think I might have found a potential leak for an upcoming first-party Switch 2 game, and I could see this being shown off at the next Nintendo Direct. I'm not really sure why I have that timing down, but I'll show you what I'm talking about and then show you some evidence I kind of have to back it up. So I found this new patent from Nintendo, and you can see this was filed April of this year, right? April of 2025. And then when you start looking at this, you can tell 100% this is for Nintendo Switch Sports, or what I would think would be Nintendo Switch 2 Sports. Hopefully it has a cooler name than Switch 2 Sports. But yeah, it just seems like they're making just the way that the game plays and the feedback and everything tighter, more fluid, more interactive. This is showing basketball right here, and I've played Switch Sports. I actually own it. I don't think I've ever played basketball on it. Maybe they released that after the game launched, because I didn't really play it that much after it launched. I think I actually bought it again this time last year, played like 2 rounds of bowling with my daughters, and then said, all right, that's cool. I do think it's cool though. I do think the game is neat, and I think it was like $40, so it's not the most expensive game, but I think this would really benefit from the Switch 2, and I think it would be so damn fun with Game Share. I try to think of reasons where I would actually use Game Share or want to use it Nintendo Switch 2 Sports with Game Share, we were playing like basketball and all these sports together. I think that would actually be a fantastic way to utilize that. So hopefully this does come over. But if we circle back to one of the most prominent leakers we ever had, which was Midori, which I can never not mention that they were like a white dude cosplaying as a Japanese leaker. It was so funny, but that's another story for another day. But anyway, their track record was 100 out of 100. Sega leaks, Switch 2 leaks, Atlas leaks. They were saying there is a game in development for the Nintendo Switch 2, and the project codename is Anna, and the codename for Switch Sports when it was being developed was Elsa. So, you know, Anna, Elsa, the whole Frozen thing. I'm not saying this 100% means that's what's happening, but it's like, yeah, I feel like this is one of those ones where we can be like, yeah, it's probably that, you know what I mean? Sure, it could be something else, but this is one of the ones where it's probably going to end up being what we think it is. And I think this leak from them saying this game was in development was 2 years ago now, maybe a year ago or something, and the game had been in development for a little while. So, you know, Nintendo likes to finish games and set on them. Whenever we get that next big direct, the first one of the year, like March or April, I could see this being shown off then, and this being a summer 2026 release on the Switch 2. But ladies and gentlemen, we have even more. Now there's a game that got shown off in that big first Nintendo Direct, and I think it might have been the last game shown off, or one of the last games, and the whole time we're like, what the hell is this? Is this Bloodborne coming over to the Switch 2? Is this a Bloodborne sequel for the Switch 2? What's going on here? And it was a From Software game, but it was a new IP, and that was Dustblood, a Nintendo exclusive or Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive From Software game. We've seen it then, we've heard nothing about this, right? Chinese journalist says From Software's Dustblood spent the longest time on gameplay prototyping, containing many innovative elements, and this was greenlit before 2019. So it seems like this is a very ambitious game, and they're doing a lot of work on this. I know it's From Software, and some of their games launch in a crazy state, right? And allegedly, this was going to be a Switch game, and then they said, let's just wait for the Switch 2, which, you know, thank God there, but it has me on both sides. It was potentially going to be a Switch game, and we've seen what some Switch games ended up being Switch 2 games. Let's just say Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, and I think Persona 3 Reload, both of those were going to be Switch games. And then they brought them over to the Switch 2, but the Switch 2 versions are just the Switch version tweaked a little bit. They're playable, but they would be a lot better if they were developed only for the Switch 2. But then you have Donkey Kong Bonanza, which again was a Switch game that they said, you know, we'll wait for the Switch 2. And I think Mario Kart World was a Switch game, and they said, let's just wait for the Switch 2 as well. And we see the polish and the optimization, and everything's running good over there. So this could go both ways. This could be like, well, it was a Switch game, but now it's on the Switch 2, but it still is kind of clunky like a Switch game. But since this was greenlight in 2019 and they've been working on it for almost 7 years at this point, I feel like it has enough time to be polished and ready to go. We have to keep in mind this is a multiplayer, I think, online only game that has some caveats in itself, but I'm optimistic here. You know, this one's weird, especially with it being a Nintendo exclusive. But ladies and gentlemen, what do you think about this? Because your opinion matters most. So in the comments below, I would love to hear from you guys. If you made it all the way to this part of the video, do your boy a favor, hit that like and subscribe button, bruh. Follow your boy on Instagram and Twitter, bruh. And consider becoming a channel member, bruh. Because that would be really, really cool. And you guys know me, I'll see you very soon with a new video. Peace out.